Hi, and welcome to Sustainable Scottsdale, the City of Scottsdale's Green Building Lecture Series preview. My name is Doug Edwards. I'm your host today. Usually I have my brother and co-host Kevin with me, but anyway, I'm going to do it solo. Today we're going to talk about interior and indoor environmental quality. We've done this show several times in the past. We never, ever had an interior designer on, but today I thought that would be a nice change up. We should talk about the interior design. And so I asked Tanya Shively with Seshu Interior Design to join us. She is one of the experts here in our community who knows and really does believe in the eco-friendly interior design possibilities. And thank you, Tanya, for joining us today, and welcome.
Thank you, Doug. I appreciate you having me on.
Well, it's my pleasure. I was wondering maybe what we should do is talk about how does somebody hire an interior designer, or why, or perhaps even most people can't afford an interior designer. At least that's the premise, or that's the way people think about it. Is that true?
No, not necessarily. An interior designer is really key in helping you to maximize your dollar, actually. And if you can be upfront and honest with them about the amount of money that you want to spend on your project, a good interior designer will actually help you stay within that budget and also make sure that you don't make some expensive mistakes that maybe you have to redo or live with and hate.
Right. Well, it seems to me that, if you're just to go out as a homeowner to buy furniture for your house, for instance, and you went to a retail store, you're going to pay retail.
Right.
So right off the bat, you're paying a huge markup. Whereas if they hire an interior designer, they would be paying less because you utilize the wholesales. The wholesale companies where the public is really not allowed to go, or isn't welcome, and so you charge a certain percentage over the wholesale cost, which comes out about the same as a retail, which pays you. They get a much better design because they have a professional, and if they want to be eco-friendly, they definitely come to you.
Right, yeah. Eco-friendly is a challenge, especially in the interior department right now. So having someone on board who is familiar with the resources that are out there and what your options are will definitely help if that's one of your goals.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I've dealt with a lot of interior designers, and most of them aspire to be eco-friendly, but they don't take the initiative to really do the study, to really get in there and find out what the options are to make a home eco-friendly, green, and healthy. So tell us about what can we do if we hire you, give you a call. What is it that you will do for us in an eco-friendly way?
Well, like you said, I did put forth the effort and studied and passed the LEED exam, and I'm constantly out there learning and researching resources and finding out what's available now, which it's a constantly changing field. There's new things coming up all the time, which is fantastic, but it's hard to keep up with. So what I do with my clients is I find out what their priorities are. There's a number of factors that are involved in being green. Energy efficiency, water conservation, your interior environment, which includes your air quality and the health benefits. And so I'll talk with them and find out what's most important to them, and then we'll make our list, and we will just go out there and I will do the research and find the materials and the resources and the products that fulfill those priorities and requirements for them, and present those options to them. And I work with my clients on a collaborative basis.
Great.
So it's never all me, it's never all my decision. I'm working with the client hand in hand to help them narrow down the choices so that they can make the choice that's best for them. And then we move forward from there. And I work with them throughout the whole construction process typically, and making sure that everything is happening the way that they want it to go.
Well, I know there's a lot of choices out there, and most of which are not green.
Right.
So you're kind of limited to what you can bring.
Yeah.
Do you have a difficulty with that at all? Are there new products, or are there certain lines that you recommend, or materials? I mean, just even the basic materials like cotton or wool or something that's natural.
Yeah, that's kind of the key word right now with green interiors, is look for things that are natural. And it's true the choices are pretty limited right now, but it's getting better all the time, which is fantastic. But there's a lot of materials out there that have maybe been used for centuries, for decades, for a long time. People didn't really realize that they were green. And now that that is a big concern and the message is getting out, those are starting to come back into vogue. Things like linoleum, things like cork on floors. So those are actually some green options. They're unique, they're interesting, and they're actually pretty available. The furniture really and the fabrics is the tricky part right now.
Right. Why is that?
Well, to get a great looking, stylish, great feeling, lots of color, unique fabric that's green, that's just limited right now. The fabric industry is actually probably one of the worst. But there are some organic cottons and things, and using the natural products like wool is naturally flame resistant, it's naturally stain resistant, so you don't have to add a lot of chemicals onto it. So that helps.
Right.
And wool is a renewable resource, so that's a great option.
And then how about like colors and textures? So I mean, you could take wool and get different textures out of it depending on the weave. And
yeah, exactly. Wool is probably one of the favorite, and it works great on draperies. It has a lot of different possibilities with it, and it can be mixed with other things to change their characteristics. So that's probably a fiber that we use most frequently.
And also for carpeting and
exactly
almost in every aspect of the interior design as far as the fabrics are concerned.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the colors. How do you? Is there like a zero VOC colors that they use, dyes that they use in the fabrics, or how does that work? Or no? Perhaps you need to stick to more neutral colors. I don't know.
More neutral colors, yeah. Wools often will come in natural, undyed colors, especially in things like carpets, and they have their own unique characteristics. When you start adding dyes, that's when you start getting into problems. Sometimes you can find things that have natural vegetable dyes, especially more in rugs and things like that.
Right. So more of kind of a Native American approach to coloring.
Exactly. It's just going back to the basics. You know, the Persian and Asian Oriental rugs, a lot of those we can get with the natural vegetable dyes too. The colors aren't as vivid, but they're still beautiful, and they have their own uniqueness.
Is there a company here locally that manufactures, or do you? I know High Point in was it South Carolina is like the mecca for furniture and what have you, but. Is there a manufacturer here local? Because it's nice to, another aspect of it is the transportation costs and the carbon footprint of the product.
Yeah, absolutely. There isn't a company locally in Phoenix, but there is a fantastic rug company that we like to use that is based in Michigan. So it is at least made in the U.S. It's not coming from overseas. It's not being shipped as far, and they are totally green. They are Green Label Plus certified wool, the natural latex and cotton backing and all of that, and they do some really fantastic things.
Are there any manufacturers at High Point that are going really green?
A lot of people are trying to be more green.
So they're getting they're putting their toe in the water.
Exactly, yeah.
Has anybody immersed themselves completely?
There's not too many, and actually we use a lot of manufacturers from California here because it's closer. So there's some companies there. There's a great fabric company called Eco Textiles, and they use a lot of the organic cottons and linens and things. Their fabrics are more typically prints and lighter weight fabrics. But I believe they're out of Oregon.
Oh, okay.
So.
Then how about, we talked about the fabrics. How about like the flooring? You mentioned cork, linoleum, and then there's hardwoods.
Yeah.
And then, domestic hardwoods, of course. And, then there's the other kind of hardwoods that you can import from like Honduras, mahogany, and that type of thing, which is incredibly horrible to the environment. The rainforests are being depleted. And
yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about the products in that regard?
Yeah, absolutely. Those exotic hardwoods are the ones that you want to stay away from and try to not use. There are a lot of beautiful options that are FSC certified, and so those are sustainably
FSC
forested.
Means?
Forestry
Stewardship Council. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
I just wanted to, I probably shouldn't have put you on the spot on that. I know those acronyms are sometimes pretty difficult, especially if you're just hit spontaneously.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's, even in building and on our side, on the architectural and building side of things, we like to use the FSC woods. They cost a little bit more. But they give you a really good feeling that you've done made the right purchase.
Exactly.
Otherwise, well, and then a lot of the large manufacturers, even in the lumber industry, are starting to adapt, or not even. They've been doing it for some time and certifying their forests, even if it's not FSC. They've got their own certifications, and they're being much more conscientious. Is it the same in the interior design?
It is, yeah. There's actually a Sustainable Furnishings Council that's working on that, so there's more and more furnishings that are coming on board and using the sustainable woods and avoiding the formaldehyde in the glues and all of those kinds of things.
Which is a real problem. I know the toxicity of the formaldehyde coming out of the press board, right,
yeah.
which is basically the box of the cabinetry.
Exactly.
What do you guys do for that? I mean, does it get real expensive?
It does probably add a little bit of cost, but there are some options out there that don't have formaldehyde in them. Mm-hmm. And so just working with your cabinetry people to make sure that those are specified. There's some things like wheat board and a number of options that are available.
Right. I know back in the old days when if you were building a home without a huge budget and you were kind of limited to your cabinet selection, a lot of times you would order up cabinets which were typical with the formaldehyde boxes, but what we would do is seal them. Mm-hmm. You get a really good sealer, paint the whole, everything, so that it doesn't outgas, and that really cuts down on the toxic.
Right. Yeah, another thing you can do too, because sometimes it's in furnishings and sometimes it'll be on fabrics and things. If you know that you've got that problem and if you have the time and the ability, another thing you can do is store it uncovered so that it has the opportunity to off-gas somewhere besides inside your home.
So don't wait till the last minute to order them. Get them ordered and let them hang out for a while in the garage or somewhere if you're remodeling.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, that's great. You have a blog, you have a website. You're very active. You do a lot of marketing, and and of course, I've brought you in on projects, and I know that your work is exemplary, really.
Thank you.
On your blog, you've got 12 questions to ask an interior designer, and I was wondering if we could go over some of those.
Sure.
The first question is, how will it perform? I imagine the eco-friendly materials or whatever it is, whether it's the design. How will it perform its basic function as a product?
Mm-hmm. That's really addressing durability issues and functionality issues. So, for instance, cork might not be a great choice to use in the bathroom, especially the kids' bathroom, where there might be a lot of water splashing and puddles left on the floor.
Mm-hmm. And toothpaste.
And toothpaste and things like that. So, linoleum's probably a better choice in the kids' bathroom.
Right.
So, things like that, you want to be sure that materials are being used in their proper place. There's a place and a time to use everything. Just make sure that you're using it in the right place and not just everywhere, assuming that this is a green material, so it'll work anywhere I want to use it.
Right, well, which can be a blanketed thought for most people, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
When you're putting down linoleum or the cork or even the wood flooring, do you use glues?
It depends on the installation method. Sometimes it is a glue down method, and then formaldehyde is a big problem in adhesives. So that's where you want to be sure that your installer is using a formaldehyde-free adhesive, and they are available out there.
Right.
You might find an installer who will tell you that there isn't, but there is. So keep
So
looking, push them,
push them, or find somebody else if they don't come off their thoughts.
Exactly.
I know that there's also kind of the design of some of the flooring, especially the wood floors. They interlock so well that you really don't need to glue them down.
Exactly. Sometimes they just float. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
floating
very true.
floors. That's pretty cool. And plus, that's really nice on your feet.
It is, and the only thing you want to be a little bit concerned about there is sometimes it can get that hollow sound, but there are underlayments and pads that you put underneath that flooring that stops that.
Okay, right, excellent. Yeah, I was going to ask. I mean, if a floor floats and your subfloor has some it's a slab.
Right.
It's not absolutely perfect. There's going to be some little hollow points. Another thing, not to get away from your 12 questions, I'll keep going back to them. But how about paints products?
Paints is where we've actually made a lot of progress.
Right. Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah. So that's the easiest thing to do, and people are that's one of the first things they think about doing when they're remodeling or refreshing their house is change the paint color.
Right.
And pretty much all of the major manufacturers have low or zero VOC paints out there now.
Right.
So they don't have those volatile organic compounds, which the worst of those, again, is formaldehyde. That's the culprit in most of them.
Right.
But I really like the Benjamin Moore paint. There's hardly any odor at all, which is another nice little benefit. You can be in the room right away. You're not getting a headache.
Yeah.
You're not getting that scratchy throat, dry eyes, any of that kind of thing.
Well, I painted my house, and I used the Dunn Edwards, and it was the no VOC. It was such a pleasure to paint with that because I'm a little hypersensitive. I'm kind of like the canary in the mine, and I'll get a sore throat pretty easily. By using that no VOC paint. I had no problems whatsoever, and it felt good. It just kind of felt good to be around it.
Yeah.
We just did my mom's house, and we used the American clay, so the color's integral into the clay itself. When I walk into her house, you can feel there's like I don't know what it is, like a negative ions or something, but you can honestly feel the difference on that wall or in the house. I mean, it just feels so. I don't know, comfortable.
Well, that's the really
comfortable.
cool thing about that clay plaster. It has added benefits besides the fact there's no VOCs because it's literally clay from the earth.
Right.
When you're putting it on, I don't know if you were there, it smells like dirt.
Yeah, I was there.
So it's kind of
Sure.
fun. But the other thing that's kind of cool about it is it helps to regulate the humidity in the room because it absorbs and then releases back.
Right.
And it also will absorb some of the pollution that may be coming into your house from other sources. So that's a really nice alternative to paint. And because the color is integrated into the wall, you don't have to repaint, you don't have to refinish. And
if you have any problems, I understand you just get some more of the clay and and save. That comes in like a powder form, right? It's a dried clay,
you just
and then
mix
they
water.
add the water. So if you have an extra bag or maybe a baggie's worth, you can repair really easy with a trowel.
Exactly. And if there's a little nick or something, you can even just take like your wet finger or a wet rag or something and kind of smooth it back out. It stays.
Oh yeah, right.
It doesn't ever really get into a permanent hardness state. You can just kind of smooth it back out with a little bit of moisture.
Wow.
It's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, it really is. And we did my mom's whole house. We did all the walls and the ceiling with it. And we were, I was just there the other day. It just feels so comfortable.
It does, yeah.
How do you, we talked about third-party certifications. Are there third-party certifications other than just that furniture certification?
Yeah, there's a number of them, and I've got a blog article that really goes into more detail, but There are some that are kind of broad, like the Green Seal logo, and that covers a lot of things like cleaners and those kinds of products. And then there's the Green Label and the Green Label Plus, and that's for flooring, primarily rugs and carpets. And also pads. When you're talking about carpet, something that people don't think about is the pad that goes underneath. And that's, of course, just as important as the carpet.
A lot of times it's a foam or it's made from a petroleum product.
Exactly. So it can be off-gassing too. So you want to look for a natural product that's not going to off-gas. And again, the glues, if it's a glue-down type carpet, you want to be careful of that. There's the WaterSense label, which deals with plumbing fixtures, and anything that has that label on it uses 20% or more less water than, that's kind of confusing, uses 20% less water than a regular fixture.
Oh yeah, that makes
and
sense.
Those are great. I mean, they've really come a long way with that.
So it's like the 1.5 or 1 1/3 gallon flush, or
exactly. They're like 1.28 gallon flush toilets, and they are amazing. They work better than the old toilets.
Oh, I know. And I still have one of the old toilets in my house, and the darn thing is just it's every time I flush, it's like it's time to replace it.
Exactly. Me too. I have one old and one new, and the difference is just astonishing. And one of the kind of interesting things that I noticed is the time that it takes to refill the tank.
Oh, exactly.
It's like that. It's like 10 seconds.
Right. Yeah, you get you get a second chance real easy. Otherwise, you're hanging around for a long time.
Yeah.
No doubt. Yeah, I just finished remodeling my house and a couple of years ago, and just one of the bathrooms I didn't change out the throne, and gosh, I'm just ready to do it. So ready.
Yeah.
Let's talk about indoor air quality. And I realize that this is a little bit outside of your realm, but filtration. Do you have and maybe humidifiers and the electrostatic filters and that type of thing. Are you familiar with that?
I am, and I'll tell you a story, Doug. Actually, the way that I got into interior design and green design in particular is personal experience. My dad has severe chronic asthma and allergies. And so growing up, he was in the hospital many times and near death even. So it was really scary. And we discovered that it was coming from primarily his job. He worked at a welding shop. And so the indoor air quality is just horrible. And that was a key factor. So when I started learning about that and studying design and learning about green design, I realized this is an opportunity to make a difference, because it doesn't have to be as bad as a welding shop for your air quality to play a factor in your health. And there are millions of people in this country that suffer from asthma and allergies. And so the quality of air inside their home is a big deal. You can, of course, use the filters and the HVA systems. Most new homes aren't built that way, though. Most of them they don't bring in fresh air from the outside. They just recirculate the air that's inside. And something a lot of people don't realize is that our indoor air is typically at least 2 to 5 times more polluted than our outdoor air. So it's a big deal. If you're building a new house, I highly recommend putting in a filtration system. But another thing that you can do, and especially if you're not willing to go to that expense, is live plants. They do a fantastic job of filtering the air. They will filter out the pollution, they'll filter out the carbon monoxide, the carbon dioxide, all of those kinds of things. And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to live in a jungle. A little 6-inch potted plant will filter the air of like a 10 by 10 room. That's all you need.
Really? That's amazing. Well, Tanya, in our homes, our new homes, in our plenum where the HVAC air handler is, we will put a damper in. A simple damper, $15. You drill a little hole, you put the damper in, it's got a little door. And if you have a vented, depending on the architectural design, but basically we have vented doors in our HVAC spaces, our mechanical rooms. And so with that damper there, it's got that little door, and as it pulls, you can adjust it. Simple adjustment, very simple system. It'll bring a little bit of air where we figure that you'll get a new air exchange completely in your house every 5 hours.
That's fantastic.
And it doesn't cost anything.
Yeah. Simple fix.
Another thing is we'll put a damper in a laundry room, so when that dryer's at full tilt, it's not sucking the air out of the house. It's sucking it right from that little vent. So it'll draw that damper to open, and it'll just quickly, and you won't lose all your air conditioning. And same thing with the fireplaces. It's good to have your venting right there by the fireplace itself within the firebox from outside air. So that really helps too.
Yeah.
To, keep the.
Well, that's why you need a green builder on board, somebody who understands those kinds of things.
Yeah.
Doesn't just do it the old way.
Well, and the thing, the thing is it's not the cost so much. There are so many wonderful options for people that don't cost anything, that are green. I mean, it's just a matter of it's almost a philosophical change. You need to be a little proactive. Builders and interior designers just need to be a little bit proactive in investigating alternatives. And I think you'll realize that 80% of what can be done doesn't cost anybody any more money.
Exactly. You've got choice A and you've got choice B.
Right.
This one is more green. Go with it.
Exactly. Well, I'll tell you, it's been a real pleasure having you here. We've known each other for several years, and the financial or the economic environment's a little bit off right now, but people are doing a lot more of renovation, a lot more thinking in terms of redesigning their interiors and putting in ecologically sensitive products and energy-saving appliances, and so I think it's really important that people start to realize that an interior designer can be an incredible teacher, not only a teacher, but somebody to help come up with the aesthetic appeal that a lot of people don't understand. To combine textures, materials, products, all in ecologically sensitive ways.
Yeah.
So
very true.
You want to tell the audience about how they can reach you through your website, your blog. I know you've got.
Sure.
You're all over the internet.
I am trying to be. Yeah, my website is www.seshudesign.com. My blog is linked there, so I post things about green interiors, tips, trends, all kinds of information there. I'm also on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, I'm on LinkedIn, and there's links to all of those on my website. And you can give my studio a call too at 480-443-4800. I'd be happy to talk with anybody.
Wonderful. Thank you, Tanya, so much. Really appreciate you coming down.
Thank you.
Spending
My
your time
pleasure.
with us. Thank you for joining us. Remember to reduce, reuse, and recycle. And remember, until then, thank you and bye-bye.